Granny Goodfood speaks out on genetically modified foods on See the Power in You, only on freedomizerradio.com. Check out Granny Goodfoods on Facebook. She helps you to make changes in your diet, healthy changes, not just eliminating the bad things, but adding some good ones. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to freedomizerradio.com. See the Power in You. And we have Donna, Granny Goodfoods, with us again this morning. Thank you so much for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for another opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, we still have this election thing to get through, and more and more people are becoming aware of what Proposition 37 is. Do you want to share your views on this issue with our audience?
Well, real quickly, yes, I will. Proposition 37, it must be voted in. We really need to know what is in our food. I wrote 6 books called Supermarket Survival, and I saved genetic engineering for last. I got through aspartame, MSG, refined oils, colors, flavors, preservatives, xenoestrogens, and then I had to deal with the GMOs, or GMO stands for genetically modified organisms, or GE is genetic engineering. So I saved that for last. And I was a little intimidated. I've had lots of biology, some chemistry, and science, and I didn't want to deal with this genetics thing. And so I sat, and honestly, Cheryl, this is what happened. I sat and prayed about it. And so the Lord led me into a process. When I homeschooled, I taught my kids the principle approach, which is a 4R method of research, reason, relate, and record. And you put all your things that you've researched into a notebook. So that's what I did, and I got out the 1828 dictionary that we had always used, and I defined genetic engineering in an old dictionary that was, 160 years old at that time, and it was amazing. And when I looked at the words, see, I'm not afraid to take any subject. If you give me the vocabulary of the subject, I will understand it. And so when I understood the vocabulary of the words genetic engineering, I wept. I sat and wept because the very words themselves say that the genetic engineering is war against God. So there are others that can argue the science. I'm going to take the spiritual platform on this, and my perspective is that being war against God, it's taking a species, the DNA of a species, and putting it into the DNA of another species. And the way they do that, it's forceful. They take a gun and actually shoot it into the DNA on a small level, but it's a violent process, very violent. And I've equated that to raping of our seeds, and our seeds are sacred. Without seeds, life does not go on. And so to do that very violent act of transferring DNA from one species into another is a violation of God's law. He tells us in Leviticus 19:19, do not mix the seed, do not mix thy cattle. So it's very clear in Scripture we are not to mix. And this is not hybrid. Okay, hybrid is staying in the same species. He's talking about transferring DNA, the actual sacred code, from one species to another, and it's explicitly forbidden. And that's why Noah's flood came. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we don't realize that this is war. It's war on mankind, and the least that our food companies can do is label the foods that contain these chimeras, these monstrosities, these abominations. That's the least they could do. So for them not to want to label it, that really says they're trying to hide their wicked deeds. And I hope and I pray that the voters tomorrow of California will definitely go to the polls and say, oh, no, you don't. No, you don't. You are going to label these things, and we're not going to put up with this blasphemy of God's food that He's given us. So that's my perspective on it.
Well, and I agree with your perspective. Absolutely, it's well founded.
Yes, and
With nature.
Yes, it's an abomination to contaminate the seed line. The seeds will never be the same, and we will never be the same. It is messing with the germline of mankind, because that DNA gets in our gut line, and it remixes, it reconforms. And I have a quote in some of my studies that they really don't know. The worst thing about genetic engineering is that we just don't know.
Well, and what's frightening to me is that these people are supposed to be smart, geneticists and scientists, and yet children in grade school learn that pollinators transfer pollen from one plant to another. They don't read road signs, and they don't read, this is Farmer Joe's genetically modified corn, and this is Farmer Pete's organic farm. They don't. How can these people who are supposed to be so smart release something into the environment that they have no control over and have not tested?
Well, I agree that they're smart, they're brilliant, in fact, but they're beasts. And you can be brilliant, but unless you submit to God's authority and God's wisdom, you can have knowledge, and knowledge without wisdom is dangerous. They don't have the heart to use that wisdom to, increase mankind and assist mankind. And I don't know if you've looked into Atlantis in your studies, but I looked into some things about Atlantis, and there were the people, the law of one, and then there were the others, the worthless people that wanted to use technology to control, and the people of the law of one, they wanted to use technology to enhance mankind and to free mankind. We kind of have that same battle going on. You've got all this it's wonderful technology that we can have to, grow crops better. But mixing the DNA I think there should be forbidden technology. And, let's use the wisdom, the knowledge that we have in a wise way to bless mankind and not to destroy us.
Exactly. The part that makes me cry is indigenous crops in Mexico, for instance, and this is just a tiny example, are forever tainted because 60 miles away there are genetically modified crops growing, and this poor farmer's crops are destroyed forever.
Yep.
This is the part that I don't understand. For people that are supposedly so intelligent, they didn't think these things through. And the part about if they're so proud of their products and so happy with how it's feeding the world, it's changing the world, it's doing all of these wonderful things. They used to in Europe when this whole genetically modified thing came out. They were proud of it. It's going to help feed the world. But now they don't want you to know. So what have they found out over those years? They've found out that these are detrimental to human beings. They're detrimental to the environment, to pollinators, to our animals. Not just our domesticated animals, but our planet animals. Our ecosystem is being threatened by this monstrosity that has been turned loose.
Absolutely, and no one is monitoring. There was a audit report from 2005 that was put out by the USDA, and there was a assistant inspector. He was the assistant inspector general for the audit of the USDA, Robert W. Young. And this man, I tell you, there are some good people in our government, and he wrote up a report that is searing, and heads should have rolled. I cringed when I read this because it just shows us that our government is not looking out for us. For instance, inspections can be done with a phone call. A phone call.
That.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And you talk about destroying the environment. I have a quote here that he put in there. He said, at the conclusion of the field test, APHIS, that's the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service, does not require permit holders to report on the final disposition of GE pharmaceutical and industrial harvests, which are modified for non-food purposes, think vaccines, and may pose a threat to the food supply if unintentionally released. As a result, we found that 2 large harvests of GE pharmaceutical crops remained in storage at the field test sites for over a year, without APHIS's knowledge or approval of the storage facility. In other words, they just grew the crops, and these were pharmaceutical crops. That means they were growing them for medicines or vaccines, mixing putting DNA into rice to grow vaccines. That they were doing that, and they just left them for over a year. And the wind, the bugs, nothing's safe anymore.
It's completely irresponsible. And
Totally.
Judy Litt calls it genocide. Genocide from the inside out. And that's not an exaggeration.
No,
this label
it's not.
is what's in front of our face. The labeling issues in front of our face. But the bigger picture is that we have genetically modified foods in our ecosystem, and they need to be out. They need to be done. We need to stop it. And the only way we're going to do that is through awareness and people voting with their dollars. Don't spend your money on anything that has genetically modified products in it. Learn what those things are. Read your labels and don't spend the money. Put them where it hurts.
Yes, it has to hurt them. And honestly, I don't think labeling goes far enough. It's a good step in the right direction, but I really believe there should be an across-the-board ban on any genetic modification. It's insanity. It's not science. It's insanity, and we have to draw the line. Where is the ethic? Where are the ethics? Where's the morality? Where's the sense of accountability to mankind?
And that's just it. There isn't one.
There isn't. They're beasts in our laboratories, and they're just mad scientists. Literally, they are mad.
Yeah, and I can't seem to talk about it enough. I was helping out Zebulon Thomas last night. His show had some technical difficulties, and I kind of hung around to make sure things were running smoothly, and he invited me on air, and of course the hot topic is genetically modified foods. Now the Sandbox Zebulon show is Zebulon, who is like a motivational speaker, and he has 4 co-hosts, all who are very young. Some are still in high school. And we discussed genetically modified foods last night. These young men had no idea at all about genetically modified foods and what they were. And, they thought, if it's labeling and we just want the chemicals that are in our food labels. And I said, no, it goes deeper than that.
It's much deeper.
So what it is we're working to educate everyone. The young man who came on and did our kickoff for the GMO radio rant, Guy, he's 13 years old, and he knows about the problems with genetically modified foods, decided to put out a video, GMO World Free. Please go and check that out on YouTube. Give it a like. Let him know that he is supported in what he's done for awareness. He talks like he's 30 because and why do our children at 13 years old have to be exposed to such issues? I'm glad that he is, because it's that generation that's going to affect the biggest change in the next 10 years. I hope we can do it faster than that.
Yes, we'll have to, because if we don't get a handle on this genetically engineered food, there is famine. There is worldwide famine it's right at the doorstep. It's like that sword of Damocles. Remember the old story about the fellow that went to dinner and there was a sword hanging by a hair over his head the whole night? Well, it's that sword of famine is hanging over our societal head, as it were, by a mere hair. And, if Monsanto gets their way, if we don't stop this, we're in big trouble.
We're in big trouble.
Yeah. There are four big things. When I studied genetic engineering, people say, well, how do we know what's in our food? Which foods is this stuff in? Well, I say the big four are soy, corn, cotton, and canola. And it's mostly the oils. If you just avoid those oils, use coconut oil, real butter, olive oil, you'll eliminate a lot of the GE in your diet. So, giving people alternatives and letting them know what they can do in, a big way to avoid the GE is very important. The number codes, the PUC numbers that you see on all your fruits and vegetables at the store,
mm-hmm.
Well, if the number has an 8 in front of it, that means it's genetically engineered. But you won't see that. You won't see that on your corn. You won't see it on your fruits and vegetables or anything, because if it's on the box, it doesn't have to be on the food. And those so anyway, looking for the 8 is not a very trusted way of determining your genetically engineered food. The big four, like I said, are soy, corn, cotton, and canola, and avoid those, and you'll be pretty good. There are still some varieties of your squash that are GE. Hopefully.
Well, sugar beets is an issue as well.
Absolutely. And it's not going to be, it's not on the bag right now, so we need to have that labeled. Use sugar cane. Sugar cane is not genetically engineered like the beets are, so use sugar, pure sugar cane, maple syrup, raw honey from your local region. So those are the alternatives that I would suggest, and you'll, to avoid the GE.
Yeah. I've been using those three things for almost 3 years now.
Good.
And what's interesting, Donna, is that I changed my diet radically 3 years ago and eliminated almost all packaged foods to begin with, and have been eating a lot of raw. I hardly ever cook.
Uh-oh.
I know. It's yeah. I'm a grazer. And one thing that I noticed, which was very interesting, is that it's been 2 years since I got new glasses. And so I went and had my eyes checked. My eyes are 2 clicks better than they were 2 years ago.
Oh, that's so awesome. That is so awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of that, soy, corn, cotton, and canola, let me just pick on, and I call it con-ola, C-O-N, con-ola, because canola oil will damage your eyes. There was a relative that was visiting, and I was speaking with her, and I just love canola oil. It's so healthy for you. I said, well, no, it's not. I said it damages your eyes. It causes fibrotic lesions in your heart. You will not see it in baby food because canola oil stunts the growth. It's one of the worst oils you could ever think of. And she says, it damages your eyes? She says, that is so interesting. She's had to have her glasses changed twice within the last 6 months because her eyes got worse after she was using the canola oil.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was years ago that I added coconut oil to my diet as well, and switched from using any kind of vegetable oil, only olive oil and coconut oil.
Good for you. And I use butter. I like to use other saturated fats like real butter, and I render my own beef tallow, which is really good from grass-fed Jersey cows that do not have any genetically modified hormones shot into them. So it's a really good saturated fat to use. And I've got a bottle right here beside me. I'm going to take it to a class today I'm doing. It's a bottle of canola oil, and I put a label on the front, diabetes in a bottle. It is. And I've done the research on diabetes, and it's not the sugars so much as it is the oils causing the diabetes. Anyway, there was a doctor way back in 1928 who fed his medical students vegetable oil for 48 hours, and in that 48 hours they became diabetic. Just 2 days of vegetable oil. And so how much vegetable oil is America consuming? Quite a bit.
Somebody brought up that we consume about 198 pounds of genetically modified foods a year per person.
Oh, my goodness.
Our own body weight. I know. This is like an average. Isn't that, our bodies have to work so hard to eliminate toxins. Just in general, our body works very hard to eliminate toxins. And then we put all of that crud in our bodies and then expect our bodies to operate properly. It's insanity.
Right. Oh, my goodness. People take better care of their cars than they do their bodies, So
yes.
That is amazing. I didn't know the stat on that was 198 pounds. I know there's something like 150 pounds of sugar that we eat every year, but that genetically engineered food, if there's one thing we have to avoid, it's that. And I think of a lot of the other foods that are derived from the genetically engineered food. Your diet soda, it has genetically engineered aspartame in it. The phenylalanine and the aspartic acid is all genetically engineered. So is the diet soda bad for us because of that, or is it because maybe it's that genetically engineered component? No studies are done, and that's another thing. There are no studies done on any of this food and on how it affects humans, unless you want to consider all of us being the lab rats, which I think we are.
And speaking of lab rats, some of the images that are coming out, if you just Google search, I hate to use the word Google, but just go out and search on lab rats and put GMOs in the search engine as well, and you'll see. We were talking last night with the young men. I kind of drove the point home a little bit, and I said they've taken and tested rats. They removed their testes after they've fed them these genetically modified foods. The testes are not nice and pink anymore. They're blue and dying.
Oh, my goodness. Well, and that means that those testes are not going to produce sperm, and that means that life is going to come to a halt. If that's rats, look, what happens in rats goes up the food chain. So, this and the whole goal, I believe, is depopulation. I mean, that is the whole goal here, to reduce the people on this planet from is it 6 billion? They want to get it down to 500 million, and that means that 9/10 of the people are going to have to leave the planet in some way or another. I really believe the fluoride has a part in that, the vaccinations, and of course this genetically engineered food is playing a big part in it.
Well, and as this whole thing is I'm getting this whole bigger picture. Did doctors start out to harm people? No, I don't think so.
No.
But what happened is that people with money and no conscience.
Oh, dangerous combination.
Yes. And they got into the mix and started changing things and turning things, slanting things so that scientists and doctors and people who are in that realm are manipulated by people with no conscience and a desire for a lot of money.
That's so true. Manipulated and persecuted. I know Jeffrey Smith, he was talking about some of the first doctors to learn about the horrible effects of GMO. They were persecuted, fired. They're not tolerated well in science.
Okay, and I'm yeah. Okay, well, we're at the bottom of the hour, Donna, and we have to take a break. I did want to ask you, before I forget, you mentioned some materials that you had put together. Do you have those available for the public?
Materials on the genetically engineered food and all that?
You put together 7 books and you saved the genetics for last.
Yes, I did. Those 6 books, well, they're not published. I did have an offer of publication, and I turned it down because I want to say what I want to say and not have it, deleted out. What I do, I post excerpts on the Granny Good Food page at Facebook that I do. So just check the page. I'm always posting something on there.
Okay, very good. So Granny Good Food at Facebook. And maybe we would just have to do some working together.
Sounds good.
I know. I'm on such a roll. Such a roll. So we're going to take a commercial break. Thank you all for tuning in to Freedomizer Radio. We have a caller that we'll take as soon as we get back from break. And so take a listen to our sponsors. Come by and support FreedomizerRadio.com. Click on those affiliate buttons and support Freedomizer Radio and all the wonderful shows here that we have for you. So we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Proof here. Guess what? I just got a cell phone. Hey, for everyone that knows me, I'm not a fan of cell phones, but I just signed up with a company called Solave. And Solave is offering a plan right now with unlimited phone, text, and web for only $49 a month. Plus, if you refer a friend or two, you get a discounted rate for everyone you refer for as long as they have Solave, not just for the first month, but for the whole time that person has Solave. You sign up enough people, and Solave pays you every month. What other cell phone company is going to pay you for service? Anyway, go to solave.com/freedomizer. That's Solave, SOLAVEI.com/freedomizer. Learn all about it. Plus, if you sign up before October 31st, you will get this month free, and another kicker. If you sign up 3 people under you, you'll get another month for free as well. Plus, they're going to pay you cash. Anyway, solave.com/freedomizer.
A couple little announcements I wanted to make. Tatiana Morez will be here on Freedomizer Radio on CthePower in You on Saturday, November 10th. And she'll be bringing us some new music. I already have it uploaded. I'm so excited. And Same Side Entertainment is her new company, and she's helping people who are putting together truth events and helping them to coordinate the music end and whatever else she can do to help people facilitate truth events. So please go and check that out at Facebook, Same Side Entertainment. Excellent. And Derek Rose is here in the chat room. Hi, Derek. Glad to have you here. Let's see, what other announcements do I have? Guerrilla Radio on the 7th. So that's Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Christy Aphrodite will be there discussing essential oils. And we hope to get... No, I didn't get your message, Derek. Hold on a second. Let me make Derek's mic live here. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. What's up? Oh, we lost him. Must be having some technical difficulties. I'll have to go check my messages. We may have some extra time here today. So, anyway, Guerrilla Radio, 9 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, more about essential oils. It's a wonderful way to add healthful benefits to your life. And there we go.
Rob Nellen Live is a show exposing the fallacy of the right-left paradigm while promoting liberty and freedom. A plethora of guests will challenge the establishment, mainstream media, the New World Order, and hopefully you. Listen to Rob Nellen Live Sundays between 3 and 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on the Freedomizer Radio Network.
Hey, Freedomists, join me, Proof Negative, weeknights, 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific, as we fight the New World Order together, right here on Freedomizer Radio, your exclusive home of the Proof Negative Show.
Lindsay Williams on Freedomizer Radio.
Proof Negative, I love the title that you use on your radio. I thought about it ever since we talked on off of the air the other day, and I'd say that's an excellent title for a talk show host.
Yes. Okay, so very good. Okay, well, we're back. Freedomizerradio.com. Please come by and check us out in the chat room. So, Donna, you have some. I would like for you, if you don't mind, to share what kind of exciting thing you've got going on in your life right now.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, it all started. My husband got me an iPhone, and so my son's helping me put these apps in. So I was putting an app in for Craigslist, and I thought, let me just pull up Craigslist and see what's going on. And there was this ad it was a casting call for people that like to cook and make food to just come on down to the Hyatt Regency on a Sunday afternoon, bring your dish, and possibly get a TV show. Okay, fine. So we did that yesterday, and we got a call back to come back today at 3:30 down there. So she says, this is great. I took in my swamp chips that I make, which is glorified collards. I take organic collards and debone them and put this sauce on them and dehydrate them and put some seasoned salt on them. Oh, they're so good. So so they were really impressed with that, and so they want me to come back, and she said, bring a lot of stuff. If you have anything, just bring it. So I've got a whole table full of stuff here that I'm going to take down there, and I hope they're ready for me. So this is going to be fun.
Donna.
What was that?
I think the world is ready for you.
I hope so. Oh my goodness. So I've got a lot of stuff I'm going to take down there and just share. And I love giving people options. Like we talked about with the canola oil, and using some tallow or some olive oil instead, or coconut oil. So I saw when I did my classes, and I said, oh, you can't eat that, you can't eat that. I saw their chins fall. I saw their face just fall to the floor. I said, well, I have to give some alternatives. So whenever I say don't eat this, I say, here, let's do this. Let's see. Here, for instance, I've got this bag of they're nacho cheese corn chips. I don't want to mention a name, but you can all think of the bright orange package in the store. And there's 12 forms of MSG in this product. There's partially hydrogenated soybean, cottonseed oil, which is it's genetically engineered. There is yellow 5, yellow 6, red 40, and yellow 5 causes asthma. It can bring on an asthma attack. There disodium inosinate and disodium guanylate. Now, most of you don't know that those are big words for MSG. So, instead of eating these little crunchy chips that are basically obesity in a bag, because MSG, it causes obesity. There is a strain of rat that when it's born, those mad scientists we were talking about earlier, they will inject these rats with MSG. And it makes those rats overeat and they gain weight. And you get this fat rat that they can experiment on, feed it drugs, so they can develop their diabetes drugs and all that. Well, okay, this is just a tangent, but what we don't know is that moms don't know this, but there is MSG in the vaccinations that the hepatitis B that the children get at birth. So if they inject MSG into a lab rat and it gains weight, what's happening to your baby when it gets that hepatitis B vaccine? What's happening? Look at our children. They might as well roll down the street as walk. So what can we do instead of eating these yucky chips? We can do what I call swamp chips. And I take the collards and I debone them, that hard middle piece. I just strip that off of there. And I put this really yummy sauce together that has red pepper, green onion, nutritional yeast, garlic, soy sauce, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and a few other things. And I got the recipe at Granny Good Food today. If you want the recipe, it's right there. I'm not trying to, hide this from the world. I want everybody to try this. And you coat those chips and put them in a dehydrator for about maybe 8 to 10 hours. And if you keep it at about 135, the ambient temperature, you'll save most of those nutrients, and it's still considered a raw food. So, and they're so good. I was passing my bag around yesterday to all the other contestants. We were having a good time out in the lobby there before we were called in, and everybody just loved them. So that's the swamp chip, maybe my claim to fame here.
Okay, where's that recipe?
The recipe is at Granny Good Food. It's right there. I posted it at my Facebook page. There's 2 people that have posted, but if you look down on today's Facebook page at Granny Good Food, you'll see a picture of a guy. He's got swamp chips in his teeth. And those are real swamp chips. We glued them on. It was a poster. CVS Pharmacy was closing out, so we got this scrim, and it had this guy's face on it. And I said, "Oh my gosh, he'd be great for a poster guy for swamp chips." So we glued swamp chips on his teeth, and so that was my poster in the store that I had.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, and if you don't want to go to all the trouble of making up that sauce, but it's so good. I really encourage you to try it at least once. You can get a bottle, and we're in Texas here in Austin, and there's a barbecue sauce that is called Austin's Own Barbecue Sauce. It is awesome. There's no MSG in it. It's no high fructose corn syrup. It's clean. It's really good. And we'll put that on the collards and dehydrate them, and then we put a little seasoned salt on it. You would not know that you're not eating a barbecue potato chip. They're not fried. There's no grease on them. they are so delicious, and they're really good.
Well, one thing I really, 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 really do appreciate about you is that you don't just say don't. You say do. If you say it don't, then you have something to replace it with, and I love that.
Oh, we have to. Yes, we have to. Let's see, what else have I got here on my table? I've got some pecans that I got these at Costco, and I soak them overnight. You have to soak the nuts with some sea salt and some water, and then drain that off because it pulls off all the bitterness off the nut. So then you, after it's drained off, you can dry it out a little bit, then put some maple syrup on it, and then stick it back in the dehydrator, and the maple syrup just caramelizes these pecans. And maple syrup, real maple syrup, is pretty good as a sweetener. There is a lot of zinc, there's manganese, there are trace minerals, and so mixed with that pecan, it is absolutely it's a good healthy snack. And then I have a plate of my raw fudge I'll be taking in. This is so good. I did a class a couple years ago on children's health, and it was snacks. Oh my gosh, when I started looking at the statistics of how much children eat snack food, they get about 600 calories a day extra just in snack foods of chips and candy and soda. Those are the three big foods that children are eating, and it's composing about 27% of their daily calories. This is not right. So we have to give our children healthy foods, and a snack for a child should be considered part of his meal, part of the nutrition that he's getting during the day. And I'm sorry, but a bag of something off the grocery store shelf, anything off that shelf is not going to feed that child and nourish that child. So I came up with this raw fudge, and what it is, it's dates. There is no sugar. It's just dates that I get, and I use the Deglet Nor dates. And I put them in my Cuisinart and blend them around. Sometimes you have to put a little bit of warm water because they can get kind of dry. And some sea salt and dried coconut, and that's it. And you got a date ball. You could use that as a crust, like a raw crust for cashew cream or something. You could roll these into little balls and give them to the children, and they're just energy balls. And, they're a lot more affordable to make than those bars that you pay, $1 each for. Of just about any energy bar you find in the store is quite expensive. The dates, they are loaded with fiber and potassium, and here's something else, what makes them really good for kids, tryptophan. It calms them down. Dates are a real good snack for children. So once I've got my dates and my coconut oil, the coconut, and a little sea salt together, I've got a little candy. I can take that and add chopped up pecans to it. I can add almonds and, vanilla, whatever you want to do. And then I can add walnuts. And that's a candy in itself. And that adds more minerals. Nuts have a lot of trace minerals. And let's face it, kids just don't sit down and eat a bag of nuts. So you have to make them palatable. And then here's the third thing you can do. I like to melt Callebaut chocolate chips, dark chocolate, and add that to it, and talk about a delicious raw fudge that is absolutely, it's yummy.
I wish I lived closer.
Oh, yeah, I can put the phone up next to the plate here. You can smell it. They're so good. And then if you want to kick it up and make something for adults, I like to take the one with the almonds, the walnuts, because the walnuts have a lot more of your omega-3. And this is fudge for lovers. The walnuts, and then I add in some maca. Maca is a Peruvian root that helps to balance your hormones. It's good stuff. And it just, with the chocolate, it's such a good marriage of flavors. So I add in the maca, and then I added in some chipotle powder.
Ooh, now
yes,
that's
it is so good with the the sweet base with the potassium in the dates and the nuts, the coconut, and then the chocolate, the walnuts, the chipotle, and on top for decoration, I just put a few little chili flakes, the kind you'd put on your pizza. Well, I just put them on that. So that is it's so good. It increases circulation, and circulation is everything. And so we've got something for the kids, something for the adults, all with just one simple little recipe.
Oh, that's incredible. I just learned about, maybe 6 months ago about soaking your nuts. Now, I didn't know about the salt. What's the reasoning for adding the salt?
Well, the salt, this is what Sally Fallon teaches in her cookbook, Nourishing Tradition. The salt neutralizes those enzyme inhibitors, and the water, of course, dilutes them and helps to carry them away. You wash it down the drain, but you do have to put the salt on it to neutralize those toxic little compounds. Everything in nature has self-defense, and a poor little nut's self-defense is its bitterness. That bug will eat it and go, oh, tooey, this is bitter. So, and then when we eat the nut, it's not so bad. We eat a handful of it, and the nuts sit in our stomach, and they feel like a rock then, and it slows down our digestion, and it uses up all of our enzymes, and heaven knows we need those enzymes for all the stuff that we got going on today to kill those cancer cells. So the best thing to do is, always bring your nuts home from the store, put them in a big bowl, cover them with good quality water, and I use about, just a handful of salt for a bag of nuts, which would be probably about 2 tablespoons. And I use sea salt. I always use, my good sea salt, and swish that around. And when you pour it off, the water will be murky, and that's all that bitterness just going down the drain. And then you can dry them. Don't set them back in the refrigerator wet because they will mold. And, oh, my gosh, nuts are so expensive today. So rinse them off and stick them in a dehydrator or on a really, really low oven so you don't damage those good oils in the nuts. And Sally Fallon in her book, Nourishing Traditions, calls this crispy nuts. You can do this with almonds, walnuts, pecans. I don't suggest cashews because cashews have a lot of carbohydrate, and you don't want to do peanuts. But those 3 big nuts there, the walnuts, pecans, and almonds, are delicious when you do this process to them.
Well, it makes them. It takes that even without using salt. And what I do, because I don't have a dehydrator and I can't do the thing on a bigger scale, is I leave my nuts in the bag. I fill up a jar with nuts, cover it with water, and leave it set out for 12 hours. Then I drain off the water, and then I just put that jar in the refrigerator, and then I graze on my nuts. So So how much salt am I going to put in, say, like a handful of nuts?
Oh, like for just a handful of nuts, I would just use just a pinch, maybe a big pinch. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to do that right now because I just put some new nuts in my jar this morning because I ran out. So I'm going to add the salt.
Yeah.
So thanks for that suggestion.
Oh, yeah. If you do a small amount, then they won't be in there long enough to mold. But if you do a large amount, you definitely have to dry them or do something to prevent the mold from growing. Okay,
good. Yeah, I only put enough in my jar to last me about 3 days.
Oh, well, that's good, yeah.
Constantly refreshing my supply. But it really does. It's an incredible difference in the texture of the nut and also in the taste. My grandchildren when they come to my house, they go, "Can I have a walnut?"
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like it's a nice treat for them.
Oh, absolutely. The phosphorus and, every food has a sign of nature. We haven't talked about this before, but if you look at a walnut, it looks like a brain. It looks like a the top part of your brain, doesn't it?
It does. Oh,
yeah.
You were mentioning about the maple syrup. If you are unfamiliar with maple syrup and the differences between various grades of maple syrup, you might want to do a little study and find out about it. Grade B maple syrup is the one that has all of the nice vitamins and minerals and stuff in it and is not as refined. Is that correct?
Yes. Grade B has it's darker. Oh, it's just absolutely rich. Yes.
The taste is so incredible.
Yes, and it has manganese and some zinc in it, and that other one, Mrs. Who, at the store. You just cannot eat that brand. You have to get the real thing, and a little goes a long way. It is expensive, but just a little bit goes a long way. So eat real food, and you'll eat less, and you'll enjoy it more.
And mentioning, you're saying that people say, oh, eating organic is so expensive and blah, 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 blah. But what I have found is that eating better, my body doesn't crave as much. For instance, I bought these incredible cookies at the health food store. Daniel's vegan cookies, all natural, no trans fats, no GMOs, no salt, no baking powder, no baking soda. What else does it say on here? I love the part that no GMOs. It says on the package, no GMOs. I love it when companies take the initiative to do what's right.
Absolutely.
What I know is that I can eat one of those cookies and I'm completely satisfied. I don't need to eat 4 or 5 or 6 or 3.
You know why? Because that you just ate cell food. When you're hungry, what part of you is hungry? It's not just your stomach that wants something in there. Your brain is hungry for energy. Your muscles are hungry for protein. Your bones are hungry for minerals. And if you give your body real food, your body says thank you. But if you don't give your body real food, your body says, hey, wait a minute, I'm still hungry. Come on, keep it coming. And you'll go looking in the cupboards for more. Somebody told me yesterday that, I've eaten bags of potato chips. You just can't stop eating bags of potato chips. And you eat one of these swamp chips, it's like, oh, this is nice, like you say, and you're done because you've eaten cell food, not just belly fillers.
Exactly. My daughter-in-law makes these incredible chips. She does it in the oven. She doesn't have a dehydrator, but she puts some things on spinach leaves and then puts them on baking dishes and puts them really low in the oven. And the kids all love them. It sounds like your swamp chips kind of idea.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, you can do spinach. I just found that collards work a lot better in the dehydrator. I was using kale at first, and they just crumbled, and you end up with a whole batch of salad toppers. So I switched over to collards, and they're sturdy enough to go through the dehydrator and make it through there and have an actual chip. So, but you can do it in the oven with the spinach too. I've heard people just put olive oil and a little salt and pepper on it and just let it go, and those are yummy.
Yeah, that's what she does. Olive oil and salt and pepper and probably garlic salt too.
That sounds good. Hey, garlic on everything.
I love garlic. I need to figure out how to pickle garlic.
Oh, it's called kimchi. You put the garlic cloves with your kimchi, and that gives it some flavor. Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, I went to the farmer's market a few months ago, and they had jars of just organic pickled garlic, and I eat them like candy. They're so good. Like you eat them like you would an olive.
Now, is it done with vinegar or is it done with a lacto fermentation process?
I don't know, because I did, because at the time I didn't know about the differences to ask.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you can do. Pardon?
What are the differences?
Well, there are two different ways you can pickle. One is using vinegar, and that's the commercial way that we know now. But way back in the day, women would use whey from making their cheeses. And that whey has the bacteria, the lactobacillus bacteria, that would ferment that food. So Sally Fallon in the cookbook Nourishing Traditions, that's what she teaches, is how to do lacto-fermented food instead of using the commercial vinegars that we see now. And a lot of those vinegars are made with grain, and a lot of people have intolerances to grain. So it's just a different way of pickling. There's a Rejuvenate? There is a sauerkraut and a line of raw lacto-fermented foods out there in California that you can find in your health food stores. I think it's called Rejuvenation. They're little pints, and they do sauerkraut, kimchi. They do a lot of different things, and they're in the refrigerator section. They're not canned and dead on the shelf, so they're really, really good foods.
Oh, excellent. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, we're at the top of the hour, and I know you probably have to run.
Yeah, I got to get going. We have to run up to Austin today, so.
Well, good luck on your call back. We'll be waiting next week to hear what happens.
Okay.
The radio is going to be sending you the love and the energy. In fact, Miss Cookie, can you hang on for just a minute?
Sure.
Miss Cookie.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be so kind as to do a proclamation for us today? And
I'd be glad.
And sending the love to Miss Donna and her new adventure today. We're gonna send some angel energy your way, Donna.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, we would like that. We'll make a proclamation just for you for your heart's desire. How does that one sound? It's nice, short, and sweet.
Very good.
Okay, desires of the heart. So that's where we're going, and we'll read that one for you, and it's on page, let me see here real quick, page 121. And what it says is, this is for Miss Donna and anybody else out there that like to participate. From the divine love that flows within my being, I ask that my being be filled with infinite love, infinite healing, infinite protection, infinite power and wisdom. I call forth my grand adventurer in feelings and emotions that will bring me happiness, love, and joy, and so be it. Take a deep breath, exhale, and clap your hands.
Excellent.
There you go.
Thank you.
So we're sending you off with love. Good luck today.
Thank you. And you know what? You just don't know how much that means to me. I'll share next time, but we got to go. So Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a great adventure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, we're going to take a short commercial break, and I'm going to pop in the screening room and talk to you while we're running a commercial break. Okay, Cookie?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. We'll be back after this short message. Come by and support Freedomizer Radio. We bring you programming from 9 in the morning to midnight, Monday through Friday, and 9 in the morning to 9 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, all to bring you the latest in what's going on in the world and what you can do about it to grow yourself and be stronger. So stay tuned.
I would like to introduce you to Sky. When the world's youth gets it in their mind to spread awareness on such an important topic, you know that we're on the right track. Sky is 13 years old, and he wanted to make an awareness video. Check it out on YouTube by searching on GMO World and the number 3. God bless you, Sky. Your father must be so proud.
What a GMO world. The skies are blue, now turning white, with Roundup sprayed on every bite. And I think to myself, what a GMO world. Montana's politicians so eager to deny the scientific studies and animals that died. I summon the judging hand, saying, let's hide the truth. They want to sell us their poisonous food. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. I hope they'll live with no GMO. And I think to myself, not a GMO world. No, I think to myself, not a GMO world.
Well, check out Sky's interview, our radio rant kickoff from Saturday, October 27th. You can find the archives at freedomizerradio.com under F-Hour Tour at the top of the page, and scroll down to find the archives there. Sky, 13 years old, knows more about genetically modified foods than a lot of adults, unfortunately. So check that out and go and support him. GMO World 3 at YouTube, and give him a like on his YouTube video.